So I just got a shocking answer to a question I've had for about 10 to 15 chapters now. Now, I wonder how many of you Chibits actually caught on to some certain elements of this chapter that was kind of foreshadowed or hinted at a while back. So, after rereading this chapter like 2 to 3 times and thinking about it and going back a couple of chapters, I saw something that made this chapter so much better. At first glance, this chapter seems very slow and doesn't have much content to it. But when you start looking at it and see certain things building up here, then you realize what this chapter truly means. So let's do some back steps. Let's back up a couple of minutes, and back up a couple chapters, actually, not minutes. Back up a couple chapters and discuss something. You remember when Hendrickson was in his Gray Demon mode, and he was about to unlock the Demon Seal to allow people, like all the Demon Clan or the Ten Commandments, out of the Demon World or wherever they were sealed up in. You remember how the Gray Demon Hendrickson had a flashback. He fell unconscious, he had a flashback, and you saw him like in a different attire, like a Druid attire, and you see how Dreyfus walked up to him and gave Hendrickson some of his blood. Now, here's the thing. In the act of that, what Dreyfus did to Hendrickson, because we could tell it was a flashback, it was probably 10 years ago. I want to say it was around 10, maybe 11 years ago, maybe somewhere even later than that. But the thing is Dreyfus forced Hendrickson to have some of his blood. And we do know Fraudrin was inside of Dreyfus at that time. Like, Fraudrin was inside Dreyfus and gave some of his blood to Hendrickson. Now, let's look at a couple elements here. When it comes to Taizai, what blood gives people powers? Demon blood. Red demon? Gray demon? What's to say that Dreyfus's blood didn't do something to Hendrickson? Now, you're probably wondering, okay, where am I going with this? Am I saying that Hendrickson got a power-up because of this? Maybe, but I'm going even further with this. The thing is that, from what we find out in this chapter, is that Hendrickson has the ability Purge. And if you read the side story, which you should have read the side story, like, if you haven't read the side story, you shouldn't be reading this chapter, of the Vampires of Edinburgh, or whatever it's called. You know, the side story with Escanor. We were revealed Zarathus's ability was called Purge. We come to find out with this chapter that Purge is not really an ability that you're born with. It's actually an ability that's blessed upon you if you are a Druid. And this opened my mind real quick. I was wondering something when I read this. It felt very weird. If Hendrickson had this ability, why hasn't he used it? Like, you'd think he would use this ability in some form or people would know about it. But then it made me start thinking, like, if he has this type of ability as a Druid to be able to purge demons, because it's like the same exact ability that Zarathus had, which we thought was just exclusive to Zarathus, I was wondering, why have we not seen this ability before? And then it dawned on me. What is gone from Hendrickson right now? What is gone right now? Demon blood. You remember how the Gray Demon and Red Demon blood got obliterated thanks to the Demon Seal? And then Dreyfus confirmed that? Well, all the demon blood inside of Hendrickson is gone. And that would mean that he no longer has that blood bonded with him. And now you're probably understanding where I'm going with this. I'm assuming if you're a Druid and you've been blessed the ability of Purge, you cannot use this ability if you have demon blood inside of you. You get where I'm going with this? For instance, Hendrickson was given blood by Dreyfus about 10 plus years ago, because we saw it in the flashback. We know Fraudrin was inside of Dreyfus. So that was that time when that happened. Hendrickson's ability to use Purge was destroyed. He can no longer use the ability Purge. So, at first glance, I looked at this chapter, I was wondering, like, why in the fuck would Dreyfus or Fraudrin keep around Hendrickson when he has this type of ability of Purge? This could have really fucked over Fraudrin badly, like, you know, how Zoroarkris was. And I was thinking, like, why in the fuck would Fraudrin keep someone so deadly around him? And then it started to dawn on me, wait a minute, what if this Druid ability is linked to Demon Blood? Like, if you have Demon Blood inside of you, you cannot use this ability, and that's what Fraudrin had planned all along, and he knew he couldn't do the exact same tactic to Zoroarkris, so they were forced to kill Zoroarkris. So, yeah, I like that. I like that little hint right there. It's very subtle, but I'm assuming that's what's going on right there with, you know, how the Purge ability came up. Hendrickson wasn't able to use it because he had the Demon Blood inside him since the very beginning. He had Demon Blood for the past 10 years inside him, not just because of the Red Demon, but because of Dreyfus. So yeah, that's incredibly shocking if you start thinking about it like that. Now, one thing I felt very interesting when it came to this chapter was the reveal of Zoroarkris being the half-brother of Dreyfus. I don't think that's ever been revealed before. I don't think that has. Even if it has, I know for a fact it's never been revealed that Dreyfus and Zoroarkris have two different mothers. Like, it's... I don't think that was ever revealed. Like, I don't remember. I would remember something like that, because that's actually very vital. That's very, 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 very fucking vital. So, Zoroarkris and Dreyfus have different mothers. Zoroarkris' mother, I'm assuming, was a druid, and that is why he was able to use the ability Purge. And of course, Dreyfus couldn't use the ability Purge because he didn't have the exact same mother as Zoroarkris. So that explains the power gap right there. It explains the power gap of Zoroarkris and Dreyfus. It explains that big power gap right there and why one is weaker than the other, and kind of why Dreyfus resented him at some aspects of his life. But the bigger question is what happened to the mothers? What happened to them? Like, where are they? That's the question we need to wonder right now. What happened to both of their mothers? So, yeah, you know where I'm going with that, too. Anyways, this chapter of Taizai, incredibly simple. Besides those certain things I pointed out, the Grey Demon fighting Hendrickson, Hauser, Grimoire, and Gilfunder. They're all fighting the Grey Demon. The Grey Demon gets fucking wrecked, which was kind of obvious, because the Grey Demon did not have the ability stack of Hendrickson, because the reason why Hendrickson Grey Demon was so strong was because the Grey Demon was inside one of the Great Holy Knights, Hendrickson. Hendrickson's power stacked on top of that with the Grey Demon's power, of course he would have been unbelievable fucking strong. Like, he was unbelievably strong. And so, it's understandable how they are able to take down the Grey Demon, because this Grey Demon doesn't have the power stacking with Hendrickson inside of him. So, yeah. And also, you have it to where there's some resentment going on. Like, you see how Grimoire does not like Hendrickson at all, which is kind of understandable. It's very understandable if you think about it, but you see it to how he doesn't like Hendrickson at all. He didn't even try to defend him. He put up a shield and let Hendrickson just take a hit. He didn't give a shit about him, and he had it to where eventually Hauser and Gilfunder were helping him out. So it just shows you that they're starting to try to work with him and trying to get this problem across. Maybe Grimoire might try to turn over and try to accept his apology or understand that Hendrickson was not his true self at the time with whatever he did, because it's clear as day that Fraudrin has been manipulating Hendrickson since the very beginning, not just because of, you know, helping him kill Zoroarkris, but because since he put Demon Blood inside of him and removed his ability to use Purge, it's obvious that he might have been using some form of brain control or something like that to be able to have Hendrickson work with him. So that's about it when it comes to this chapter. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. We're about to find out the truth behind the hole in Danafor. So maybe we might finally get some backstory on what happened to Hendrickson and Dreyfus and why they were like they were, why they betrayed the kingdom, because it's about 10 years set in the past. So it looks like we're about to get into a flashback, a mini flashback arc. So can't wait to see that. So tell me your thoughts. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.